But I was saying was I put the message I just showed you was a quote I did on Facebook saying that everyone gets the big winner, everyone gets winning streaks. The difference between trading, struggling traders and successful traders is surviving to the next big win or the next big winning streak. And I got a question or a comment from a trader, a question I guess, saying, so it's normal to have drawdowns? And what would you guys say? I think I know your answer, but I'd love to hear it. Just say it. Just tell me. Is going through a drawdown normal? And yeah, it depends on how big, but the answer is yes, right? Every system, every methodology goes through a drawdown. And here's an interesting fact I haven't talked about in a while, right? Do you guys understand that you're going to be, as a trader, you're going to be in a drawdown the majority of the time that you're trading? Have you guys come to accept that fact? The majority of the time, you're going to be in drawdown, right? Wins come fast, drawdowns come slow, right? Does that not make sense to anybody? And if it doesn't, I want you to think about what a drawdown is, right? A drawdown is a retracement in your equity curve, correct? Would you guys agree? A drawdown is a retracement in your equity curve. And think about it like this, right? If I were to draw out a trend, right? We have a few things happening with our trend, right? We have an upward move, right? That's our extension. That's when we hit our big win, our big winning streak, or our slow and steady normal winning streak, right? And then we give a little bit back. We're in a period of drawdown, right? And then what we hope is that after our period of drawdown, we make another extension and we continue to make new equity highs, right? That's ideal. But understand that the period of your drawdown is not only the portion where you're losing money, but it extends all the way until you make new structure highs. So you can be on a winning streak. Cody said, look at that 1-to-1. Mama mia. You could be on a winning streak, but because you haven't surpassed your previous equity highs, you're technically still in a drawdown. Does that make sense? It's like you're digging yourself into a hole, and although you're climbing out, right, you're making moves in the positive direction. I don't know why I'm sitting here in front of a microphone with no camera on, making a climbing motion. I'm still doing it. A weirdo, but you're climbing out, but you're not out of the hole yet. So not only does an extension take time to climb out the hole, then you got to get above it. And then when you get above it, it's usually a short little boost. It's like, woo, boom, make some money. And then you go back into your next drawdown, right? So I don't mean to make you guys depressed or anything like that, but the majority of your time of trading is going to be in a drawdown. Which makes you kind of hate life a little bit if you think about it. So trading is consistently basically a period of kind of these short-lived, exciting moments followed by the grind. It's the same thing as like studying for a test in school, right? You're studying, you hate it, and then you get a good grade, and it's that brief moment of payoff. And then it's back to studying and grinding for the next test or the next grade or something like that. But yeah, as long as you're moving in the right direction, happy days. But I think a lot of the issues is that many traders don't want to accept. Many traders think drawdowns. Cody was joking earlier when he said never be in a drawdown. Most people they think of it as a negative. And I understand why, right? No one's going to be like, hey, losing money today. Yeah, right? But it's not necessarily a negative. It is reality. I mean, it's just reality. It's no different than like, right? Maybe this is not a good example. Like taxes. Does anybody like paying taxes? Do you like seeing when you get that paycheck, right? Do you like seeing what it was before taxes came out? No one likes that. And we all make a big deal. Oh, taxes suck. They this. I hate taxes. They take all this money out. But it's just the reality of what it is. Unless you're in a position where you can kind of avoid taxes by doing other stuff. But for most of us, it's just the reality. I mean, that's what it is, right? The government is going to take theirs. I hate taking trash out on Wednesdays, right? I hate washing dishes. Guess what? Got to do it. So the sooner we can accept that, it's just natural. It's part of it. It is needed to be done in order to get to the next high. We accept it and we don't fear it as much. I mean, think about this. I mean, here's an example I always use, right? If you want to jump higher, what do you first need to do? Think about what you need to do to jump. If I told you to jump straight up in the air, what's the first thing you do to jump straight up in the air? Not even that. What is the first, just the most literal physical action you do to jump in the air? Yeah, you bend your knees. You go down to jump up, right? You go down to jump up even further, right? One step backwards, two step forward. One step backwards, two step forward. You got to look at your equity curve the same way, right? This is the market coiling or retracing, retracting, so you can, boom, explode even further up. Just part of the process. Just part of the process. Yeah, Cody says, once you learn to accept that, your trading really changes. Yeah, a lot of trading is just about acceptance. Like once you learn to think in probabilities and accept drawdowns, and I mean, you become unstoppable because you're no longer emotionally bothered. And the reason why most of us fail is because of our mistakes. And most of our mistakes are pulled from some type of emotional trigger. So once you kind of just accept it, I guess in a way, you become more in control of your emotions, more in control of yourself, and therefore more in control of your trading. Because you're no longer panicking and missing that next trading opportunity. I'm not sure if we talked about it in the Q&A or somewhere else. But we're talking about, I think it was on the Trading Coach podcast Facebook group where someone was talking about always being like FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Where we all have that trading opportunity where we see something and it's like, man, dude, that took off like a rocket. How did I not get involved? Like, right? You guys ever been there? You see a trade and you're like, oh, a million pip move up. You're like, why didn't I? Oh, I called it. How come I didn't get involved in that move? I think we've all been there, right? And then you see it on your chart every time you look at your chart and you're like, man, I can't believe I missed that. And then next time, right, something happens and you see something similar setting up and you're supposed to wait for a higher high, higher close candle. But instead you're like, you know what? That last move just, boom, went up without me. I'm just going to get involved in this right now because I'm going to anticipate this move higher. Right? Who's been there before? And then what happens every time you do that, right? That's when the market reverses right against you and you're like, oh man, I lost this money. And then you look back and you're like, well, we actually never got the higher high, higher close. So I shouldn't have been in this trade to begin with, right? So that's an error on your behalf. That's a point in time where you've lost money all because you've made a mistake in your trading. That mistake that came from an emotional trigger, right? You missed out the first time. You felt that there was profit you should have had and you didn't take it. And there was fear of you once again missing that profit. And now you've done something to get involved in it to avoid that fear. And now you've brought yourself more pain. And you've lost 100 pips in the process, right? When you're in control of that, you no longer have those errors. And we no longer have those errors and you stop losing money doing dumb stuff, you gain more money. It's no different than my theory on budgeting, right? The best way to make more money is to spend less, right? You guys have heard my story over and over again about how I was spending, $200 a month on Baby Bell cheese, dark chocolate Milky Ways, and Gatorades. Well, the easiest way for me to save $200 is to stop wasting it on dumb stuff like that. Or maybe only purchase it half the time. Those little cheeses are so good. Trading's the same way, right? In my experience, I became a much better trader once I stopped doing dumb stuff.